Chapter 8. Troublemaker and Legend. Kamachi-kyo came with a man to a tavern where space pirates went to meet. A ship very similar to Ryoki. Is this reliable information? Kamachi leaned against the water-filled sofa with a rough appearance and downed some sake that was poured for her. The water sofa leaned up against a fish tank filled with colorful fish. We have it on video, I think there is no mistaking it. Around the area where Kamachi was, there were men who seemed to be executives. The monitor displayed by one of them showed the appearance of the Kamadake. It certainly looks like the same material, but she understood that it was a special ship, but the video was less than flattering at showing off its skills. That's what it is, and we have informants who can confirm that it's Seina Yamada's ship. What? Kamachi was quick to distrust him. They're deserters from the GP and the Kamadake's crew. Well then, where are they? Thank you for waiting. Alan, dressed as a waiter, brought them a dish. Has Ryoki and Jurai made contact? Yes, and while it is unrelated, it seems Ryoki's computer core body is a little girl, and she seems to be acquainted with Seina Yamada. Alan said in an odd way that one's underling would when presenting them with information. On both sides of him, Barry and Cohen, who also wore waiter's clothes, stood and remained silent. I am familiar with that knowledge. The Kamadake was in an irreparable state when we got to Jurai. There's no way they could have repaired it in such a short period of time, and it's easy to tell this is a similar kind of ship. So, you were on that ship when it got to Jurai, but you didn't get to see anything else? Yes, but it was easy to infer. The ship we were on had many advanced features, even if it was only a decoy ship. I think that this new one most likely has them as well. I see. Kamachi nodded at Alan's explanation. But how do you explain the poor performance of this new ship? It's the Kamadake, come on. Why do you say that? They are stupid people. There's nothing more to explain. I see. Kamachi said as she sighed. No doubt she thought that Alan was underselling his own contributions to the crew's stupidity. If what he said is true, it might not just be a problem with their ship handling technique, maybe it's some sort of system problem. Ryoki's computer core's appearance may also be related to this. And, by the way, Ms. Kamachi, would you hire us? Even if doesn't seem like it, we are experienced in battle. We've even survived meeting Tarrant. It would mean more to us than you could imagine. Alan lowered his voice and smiled. And we have various other information. Okay, fine. Hey you. Kamachi interrupted Alan and invited a subordinate over. Please show these guys to the ship. Treat them carefully. Thank you very much for your help. I will try to be of assistance, hee. Come with us. The man dragged Alan away as he tried to rub against Kamachi, and two others came and escorted Barry and Cohen. I don't understand why those two are friends with that guy. He is a bad apple. Of course, you can't tell that at first glance. The subordinate who was next to Alan looked at him unpleasantly. We're keeping you quarantined. We need to keep what you know secret. Well, surely. This information is a bit dangerous. We don't want it getting out to the rest of the guild. If it's known that ship belongs to that boy, it will only increase the number of people that get caught in the GP's miserable trap, the other subordinate said. But I've already heard it rumored about, here and there. As long as there are no solid sources of the information, then it's just a rumor. But aren't you glad that it wiped out a bunch of Tarrant's forces? The men dropped their voices and whispered. You know I am. I was amazed at the reappearance of Ryoki. This new ship seems to be the same type of ship. The elderly man who came with Kamachi took a drink. The reappearance of Ryoki, who was believed to have been destroyed by the Crown Prince of Jurai, came as a big shock to the space pirates, and rumors had spread quickly. But why is Ryoki, who attacked Jurai, suddenly friendly with Jurai? I don't know much, but it may be because of that woman Ryoko rather than Ryoki. She worked for a man named Kagato who specialized in ruins and archaeological things before they attacked Jurai. Even so, there are rumors that they were actually aiming to capture a royal ship that was said to be the founder of the others. The founder? Well, you know how there are first-generation and second-generation royal ships? It's assumed that what they were seeking was something above the first generation. Oh, I see. So, was Kagato the one who built the Ryoki? That is a mystery. But what kind of person do you think the person who could build a ship that can fight equally with a royal ship is? What kind of person are they? Probably a scientist. Oh, someone from the academy. Yes. And yet, no one has ever published anything about a ship even remotely equal to Ryuoki. The most likely possibility is that it was probably made by Washu Hakubi, the #1 philosopher from the academy who went missing, but for now it's just a theory. So, maybe Kagato is an employee of Hakubi Washu? I doubt it. Ryuoki has been missing with the Prince of Jurai for several hundred years, during which Kagato seems to have acted alone. Well, if he was the one who built it, then couldn't he make as many as he wanted? Well, that's true. I wonder if he needed some kind of special material. By the way, the elderly man said as he displayed a picture of a woman who was friendly with Washu Hakubi. You've heard of her, haven't you? The woman here with Washu? This is Neja Akira. Neja Akira? Oh, I have heard of her, but I can't recall how. She didn't leave much of an impression. Well, Neja was mostly known for her supporting role in Washu's research, and since she died 5,000 years ago, it's unavoidable that she has not left much of an impression. But before Neja went missing, she donated her patents along with the profits from them to the academy. You'd be amazed to hear how much it was. The elderly man said proudly. Was it that large an amount? Well, the academy's earnings are said to be dozens of times that of Jurai and Senua. The patent earnings from Neja seem to have accounted for about 4% of last year's entire income and expenditure report. Get out. Are you kidding me? That would be over a quarter of Jurai or Senua's national budget. Yes, and it is part of why their national budget is so absurdly high. Kamachi sat silently in surprise. Washu holds the largest number of patents held by a philosopher. Second place is Neja. So what? Does Akira Neja have something to do with this story? Oh, I'm sorry. I got derailed. I want you to compare her with this picture. The elderly man displayed another picture of a man and arranged it with Neja's. This is a picture of Kagato. What do you notice? They're similar, maybe they're family? Kamachi looked at the picture, then looked over the faces of the other executives. The executives nodded to agree with Kamachi's opinion. The academy has officially denied it, but as a result of comparing the skeletal and voice data extracted from the video, it seems that the possibility of him being her brother or father is high. If the manufacturer of Ryuoki is assumed to be Washu, it's possible that Kagato only helped make Ryuoki. Of course, there's also the possibility that Akira Neja got a sex change before she helped create Ryuoki, isn't there? There's another mystery out there, besides the person named Kagato. The next picture displayed was Washu, an elderly man and a baby. What is this picture? I've seen that man somewhere. The bank. Ah, that's the founder of the MMD. The youngest executive said. Correct, but what do you know about the founder of the MMD? Perhaps he should have thought about making us members? The executives laughed at the same time. But it was not a joke because all executives sort of wished for that someday. Well, we will see how things go in the future. The elderly man said gently. Many people had dealings with the Galactic Federation, and of course, those who didn't belong to the Galactic Federation couldn't officially become members, but would become back-end member of the MMD with a recommendation of another member. So becoming a back-end member was a type of status symbol even among the space pirates. Kamachi was one of those back-end members. Well, this man named Akuma was a top philosopher of the academy and a teacher of Washu, and was Neja's teacher before Washu came. Oh, although I have to add an explanation before that, in one picture Neja is with Washu. These next pictures were taken later, not before. The elderly man displayed different pictures one by one like a slideshow. Among them, Akuma remained, and the baby who was a girl gradually developed. That baby. Is that Neja Akira? No, wait, she was with Hakubi Washu in the first photo. When you show the pictures in a row, it seems that the baby and that woman are the same person. That child is the daughter of Akira Neja. Although it seems to be, there is no confirmation. The private lifestyle of these philosophers have many parts enveloped in mystery, but still it seems that Neja managed to live a quite conspicuous existence. So from the student newspapers of that time and from personal correspondence, we have some records of various things, but there are no rumors or records of who Neja's lover might have been, or that she was pregnant. Nothing was ever rumored. Even about this baby, Washa seems to have left this girl with Professor Akuma, and we don't know why that seems to have happened. So this mysterious daughter. How does this relate to the rest of the story? Actually, this girl's name is Kagato. What? But they don't look alike in either appearance or sex. The young executives turned their heads to compare the images. It may have been done intentionally, or even ceremonially. But the same name means that the likelihood of them being the same person is high, doesn't it? Although it could be a pseudonym, the possibility is high as it is the same name. Actually, Kagato the man is quite famous with the GP. Many of their encounters with him are recorded in great detail. The elderly man displayed detailed information on the incident of Kagato that had been extracted from the GP database. Oh, this guy is pretty famous, isn't he? He comes up a lot if you are a person interested in history. An executive said, excited when he saw the article. That reminds me, I seem to remember Kagato was the one that destroyed those planets and the GP fleet who came to rescue the executive officials from the Alliance. Oh, I also remember that story. Those involved were badly disciplined. They were doing some pretty bad crimes. It was an undeveloped planet. That man Kagato had no previous history of his life prior to that, and Ryuoki appeared after the male Kagato appeared. But the clues to what went on there disappeared with the planet that was destroyed. Is this related to Washu? That's right. There was a special ecosystem there. Washu seems to have used it as a research facility. But that's biology. And philosophy is just field of study for making dubious inventions. You idiot! A philosopher means a person who comprehensively uses various research techniques and studies to make new inventions and methods of use, so you have to become familiar with and a master of everything. Philosopher is just another name for genius. Well, maybe they were building Ryuoki there? Ryuoki is a type of living spaceship. That possibility is high. We would need to know what the special ecosystem was like, but the planet itself has exploded and the material remains a mystery. Although we do know that the daughter of Akira Neja had grown up in quite a short period of time, there was testimony that she was there as an assistant to Washu. She was also on the planet that disappeared? Kamachi asked. The elderly man nodded. Well, there are many unknown things that happened, but they certainly hint at things. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. How do we know this isn't just made up? The old man laughed. Come on, I'm not going to sit here and make fake photos and give you a long speech about an urban legend. This information was provided by a philosopher who specialized in researching Washu and Neja. So what? Even a philosopher can spread tall tales. Since Hakubi Washu is a super celebrity that most people know, there are also a lot of researchers specializing in her, so most of the information so far has been backed up. But Hakubi Washu building Ryuoki is just a guess I'm making based on the circumstances. Well, then I don't see how it's any different from an urban legend. Oh! Haha, that reminds me I searched the Academy's homepage now. It said that the number of sightings of Washu in the Academy has recently increased. But that's just an urban legend too. One of the young executives said. But when it comes to sighting a ship similar to Ryuoki, we have video and accounts, so it's a credible story. It's an odd story when you consider. Ryuoki contacted Jurai. I wonder what's going on. It's worrisome that the sightings of Washu at the Academy and the resurrection of Ryuoki are occurring simultaneously. Oh! Speaking of Ryuoki, did you hear about the recent rumors about Kagato's other ship? Yeah, that's right. In the database a few years ago was the last time that the Suja was sighted. After that, nothing has been heard from him. Our guilds and the GP have had no encounters. If Ryuoki has been resurrected, you'd think there would have been some movement. And Ryoko hasn't shown up even though Ryuoki has. Certainly, and they said that Ryuoki has a core body of a young girl. If that's... What if Ryoko is gone and only Ryuoki remains? What if she made contact with Jurai and brought that other ship? There is a possibility, but how would it be possible for it to build a similar ship without Hakubi Washu? Ryoko. What are you doing? Kamachi suddenly remembered Ryoko Balta, who had the same name as Ryoko. Kamachi knew the relationship between Ryoko and Irma. She also knew of Ryoko Balta's survival. Of course her higher-ups and Tarrant probably knew too, but since Ryoko had faked her death when she was ordered to assassinate Seina, there was no way to announce her survival right now without her being treated as a traitor. Her crew who had been held hostage and their families were already under the protection of Jurai. If knowledge of using Ryoko as a pawn and holding her crew and their families hostage got out, it would cause a wave of distrust in the guild. Regardless of the power struggle and the offenders behind it, the majority of those belonging to the guild, even if they were space pirates, would take the side of the Galactic Federation on this issue, as they were human beings first and foremost, even if the guild was like the country they belonged to. I have to get in contact with her. She'll know what is going on. But Ryoko was now on the side of the enemy. Moreover, she had a close relationship with Seina Yamada. It would not be easy for her to explain the facts, and if Kamachi didn't handle it right, it had the potential to compromise Ryoko's position at the academy. Well, apparently, that boy's origin are the same as Jurai's first empress. Yeah, what if the mother of the crown prince was who Ryoki was going to see? The elderly man began to theorize on a whim. If the missing Ryoki was on the planet of the first emperor's sister, what if Ryoko was defeated and only the whole remained? What are you trying to say? The fact that Seina Yamada is a member of an early civilization who came up to space as a special case may be because of Ryoki. Maybe at the same time Ryoki was discovered, they discovered Seina Yamada and his unique ability. And they brought the two of them to the academy as research material. It fits with the official story. Does that mean they're working on more as weapons? They already have so much power. That boy is practically a weapon. Oh, Kamachi remembered what was happening when she first met Seina. She changed her expression. Ahahaha. You think that boy is a weapon? He's a little boy, and he's no weapon. Do you know something we don't, or is that just your intuition? I just know, Kamachi said. The elderly man also relaxed his expression. The trust that Kamachi's subordinates had for her was enormous. She had a highly accurate intuition, and her judgment of others' personalities was excellent. Haha, if your head says so, it must be so. So that's something to be thankful for. No, I know for a fact. It's a funny story, but let's keep on topic. Making assumptions is dangerous if we don't have accurate information. By the way, what about the person who helped provide you that information? He's a problem. I hate having to keep guard of him. Haha, are you talking about Sirio? Really, he's exhausting. I now know why they say that the Academy has never made a law without an exception for a tennan. Kamachi shuddered with her fist clasped. Kamachi felt the same way about him that Amain did. But as their prisoner, she was not able to respond to him the same way as Amain, so she was pretty stressed. Why don't you just do with him what you did with those guys earlier? He seems like he would make a good fit for them and take to steering the reins of those horses quite naturally. Do you really want to be associated with that guy? For a moment, Kamachi imagined it and suddenly burst into laughter till she nearly passed out. In her head, Alan and his two cronies were flamboyantly humbling themselves before Sirio, who obviously accepted it and got his ego worked up from it. Besides, Alan and his friends would be good combination with Sirio that was not only convenient, but also vitally needed. Ahahaha. That's not a bad idea actually, Kamachi happily said. Alan's group were brought to Kamachi's ship and taken to the bottom floor from the central elevator. It was a place with many rooms in a circle around the elevator. Your room is here. One of the guards unlocked the room and opened the door. Is this for real? Alan hesitated for a moment but stopped himself. The entire floor was quite beautiful. At first glance it seemed to be the pirates' residential area, but the interior scene from the door was dull and without furniture, and judging from the expression of the man opening the door, Alan thought that it was a prison. Put them in quickly. Two crewmen who were accompanying them quickly pushed Alan's group inside. What? What is this? They shut the door in Alan's panicked face. The front of the door became transparent, and behind it the pirates were watching Alan with smiles and grins. Explain this. We are guests. Don't panic. You are here because you're a guest. This is one of the better rooms here we have for our guests. Stop. I'm going to become a subordinate of Kamachi. And I was a crew member of the Kamadake. I have a lot of important information to give you and you treat me like this. Are you saying you want a room change? The man asked. Yes, and I would like for you to treat me more carefully. I'm surprised. I wouldn't want to forsake the good fortune of being put in this room. Here, good luck. What do you mean by that? Alan's asked. If you are from the crew of Kamadake, that makes you an enemy, and if you are an affiliate of that Sana Yamada guy, then there are a lot of pirates here with petty grudges. How much do you think your information will be useful against people who want to smash your head in? We can't let you die. Well, they all turned pale. Alan hid behind Cohen as if to shield himself. In such a situation, the number of people who can guarantee your safety is limited. Does that include Kamachi? She isn't one to hold a grudge. She's the one who arranged this for us, right? Cohen said. Alan sent a glare back at Cohen. The two sat down and upright nervously. We checked our information network for your personal information. Huh. Your work aptitude and grades at the GP sucked. Your Ryoko Balta fan club ended with you broke and in debt. The Kamadate crew only took you in because they'd take anyone, and even then they didn't want you. You were demoted to trainees for double-crossing them, and then you bailed on them. I'd like to point out we were demoted for trying to help your side out. It is not our fault. We were deceived by Sana's NV. We were used. Only an idiot would make you their subordinate. Then why are we here? Why didn't you stick us with the angry space pirates, huh? We were just told to quarantine you, and quickly. What do you have? A mental disorder or something? You're in no place to bargain. Although, you do have a surprisingly high bounty from the GP on your head for your return, so that is always an option. Well then, I'll pay you double the bounty. Did you exchange your money before coming here? Yes, and I did it on their behalf too. Here, look. Alan said. Wait, is that where all my money went? Cohen looked for his money. So I wonder why he was working over there. I don't know how much money I have, but surely here it is worth several times that value. But in any case, Galactic Federation certifies this point money. Because if it is not, you will pay many times and exchange on the back. The rate is different. In other words, paying twice the amount of your prize money would require you to have 5 times more than what you have right now. 5 times more? You monsters. You guys agreed to come here. The pirates outside their room began to argue with them. The pirates laughed as Alan tried to bargain with them until... bang! They hit the wall to stop Alan's rambling. Okay, we're going to go back up to see whether they decide to use you elsewhere or to send you back. Stay here quietly for a while. That said, the pirates left and got on the elevator. The cylindrical elevator unit was completely stored on the upper floor, and control from their floor was impossible, so they were completely isolated. Ours is such a difficult struggle. No matter what happens, our debt is just increasing every day. Oh, and that reminds me. Barry and Cohen glared at Alan. However, Alan backed up into a corner. Calm down. Me paying them your money was a joke. I was trying to get in his head. Oh, is that right? Besides, I didn't steal it. I plan to pay you back with 30% from the prize money they pay the pirates, and then we will double-cross them and defect back to the pirates. Is that so? It seems to me you have even less than you stole from us. Wait, the GP is used to dealing with space pirates. What if they pay them in space pirate money? Yeah, there's a difference in rates. That's right. Which means we will be paid 5 times as much. We would be stupid not to return and then come back. Our debts will be reduced 5 times more. In addition, there are lots of Sana's enemies around with a grudge against Sana like us. Don't forget, it was because of him that we were demoted, all because we disobeyed him. You can say that, but Sana's cruelty caused us to try to escape. We are his victims, just like the pirates. I see. As usual, Alan's convenient logic had convinced both Barry and Cohen, who nodded as they were convinced. And Alan kept talking as he sat down with his legs folded. With that, we can buy some sympathy. Even if we have to work extremely hard for a while, it is far better than any option we have back at the GP. And if we show them our real power as a team, there is no doubt that we will move up before you know it. I see, and my salary will rise if we do so too. And I'll get a woman, a good woman, wahahaha. The 3 idiots began laughing to themselves in their prison. Alan's intel was brought by a pirate to Tarrant. So, is that what they were going on about? Yes, sir. It seems that Kamachi has taken the informant back to her ship, but she did bring him through to the executive meeting. What should we do? The adjutant was new and was terribly afraid to ask. If Kamachi has them isolated, then that is convenient for us. Dispose of them so that information won't spread any further. Haha. Yes, I will do that immediately. The aide got out of the room as fast as possible to escape Tarrant. Seina Yamada. Tarrant took out the knife that Seina had stabbed him with and distorted his expression with hatred as he threw a knife that stabbed some pictures of Seina and Kirchi. Gah. Tarrant stood up and pulled out the knife. The handle was scratched and torn up, but the blade was still sharp. He had decided to use it on Seina himself. But his anger wasn't enough for just Seina. Only one thing turned Tarrant's anger in another direction, and that was thinking about the appearance of Kariko, a female the same kind of person as him, confronting him with the eyes of a wild beast. Ahahaha. Ahahaha. Tarrant's anger turned to ecstasy and excitement when he remembered Kariko's bloody image, still vividly burned in his mind. He imagined laying on top of her, holding her in his arms, and violating her to his heart's content. Tarrant felt an overwhelming sense of pleasure. After about 30 minutes had passed, Tarrant, dripping with sweat and breathing heavily, slumped down on the sofa. Tarrant took a deep breath to calm himself down as he leaned against a hole in the sofa. Tarrant, whose feelings had settled, took a deep breath and opened a private hotline. Please upload that ship's information to the database. There's a possibility that Seina Yamada is involved. Oh, that was completed. Okay, get it ready right away, Tarrant said while listening to the report from the person on the other end. He looked at a desolate desert planet visible from his dome-shaped ceiling when communication was ended. It was the place where the scientists who escaped the satellite attacked by Mickey had fled to. Ahahaha. Soon. Kamachi finished the meeting with the executives and went back to her room on her ship. However, she had on her mind something that was causing her to worry, and that something was a thing that couldn't be said in front of the executives. Kamachi opened the data she had gotten from the old man and gazed at it. It may have been unnoticed by the other executives, but she noticed something else about Kagato and Akira Neja. It's so similar. Her monitor displayed an image of Kamiki Sito titled Demon Princess of Jurai, and displayed next to it a picture of Washu Hakubi as an adult. However, it was confusing to Kamachi. But what else could it be besides that? Kamachi desperately stared at a picture of Neja Akira acting the fool beside Washu. She displayed a simple profile of Hakubi Washu, Akira Neja, and Kamiki Sito from the data bank that her elderly informant had given her. Are there any words common to these three people? She wondered. The search results were displayed in a blink of an eye. Even so, quite a few results were displayed, but only one of them attracted Kamachi's eyes, the name of a planet that no longer existed. An explosion on this planet killed Neja Akira, who was there to investigate it. On that same day, Sito Kamiki was rescued there. It was a fact that affirmed Kamachi's speculation even more. She had spoken to people about it before, but most people laughed it off as being purely coincidental, but Sito and Kamachi talked quite frequently, even if it was only through video calls, so she knew her better than most people. However, the idea that Sito was also Neja both confused Kamachi and made her feel intense fear. Kamachi had looked for the existence of evidence that would support her theory. However, only stories of the male named Kagato and the female named Kagato, spoken by elderly informants, were scattered around here and there. No matter where she looked for stories to affirm her theories, she couldn't find even a single piece of evidence. Damn it! Kamachi exclaimed as she felt even more fear than she had felt earlier. A cold sweat ran down her forehead. The only thing that could reasonably be going on was that either no one had noticed anything at all about the subject over the years, or that somehow that someone had covered up all the facts. Hey, are you alright? A familiar voice said through Kamachi's communications system. Kamachi fell out of her chair in surprise. A cold sweat broke out all over her body and her heart beat faster. It was the voice of the absolute last person she wanted to see at the moment. Why do you ask? Although it was only her voice, it was clear that the hotline with Sito had been opened. What's wrong? You sound upset. And you opened the communication line? Is there a problem? I opened the communication line. I didn't even notice that. Have you been listening for quite a while? Well then. Well, I was just looking at something that seemed very interesting, and with that Kamachi resolved to go ahead and ask her. I might as well. What's the worst that could happen, besides it costing me my own life? Kamachi thought to herself. Kamachi finally got up despite her trembling legs and wiped the sweat off her face and opened the hotline completely. Sito appeared as a projected picture and she was smiling a big smile. There is something I'd like to ask, she said in a gentle, not at all intimidated tone. Well, I heard some funny stories from the guys who we captured from GP, more specifically from the former Kamade crew, and it seems to be related to a ship that seemed to have come through here a while ago. Oh! What is the status of the former Kamade crew? They are being held under my protection here. If you want, I can arrange to have them handed back over to you. Of course, that is only if you exchange them with our people. If that is the case, please keep on to them for about a week or so. After that, we can talk about negotiations. 1 week was how long it would take for the confidential knowledge Alan had to no longer be relevant. Certainly, I understand. It would be better for you not to let that boy stay around those idiots anymore. Ahaha. So, are you feeling calmer now? What else would you like to ask? I will answer anything you want. But before I do, let me just say that what you were looking at just now was nearly correct. What? Although it was poorly affirmed, Kamachi unexpectedly broke from her calm expression. She thought that this was the equivalent of being sentenced to a death sentence as soon as her trial had begun. Let me explain before you end me. And you? Oops, do I really come off as that cold-blooded? Well, you are the devil princess of Jurai. I am not planning to conceal what you have found, and separately, finding it doesn't mean that you are in any trouble. I can understand how you feel confused. In any case, I was also confused when I first arrived at the same question myself. Question? What do you mean? I had sealed my memories. But recently that has been resolved, but it was a big problem until then. I always wondered why. Why? Why did you seal your memories? The reasons are a private matter I won't comment on. Of course, there are quite a few people who had noticed it and other things, but, well, much like you, young lady, I guess they thought I would erase it from their mouths. But it's true. It's a terrible story. Sito said. Hakubi Washu is also rumored to be alive. Kamachi added. Well, I made that a planet-wide rumor on the Academy. But it's true, since she went missing she has created both Ryuoki and that ship. But she has no plans to mass-produce them, which is a relief. Oh, and Ryoko is also alive, by the way. What is the matter? Sito said, looking at Kamachi, who sat down in a chair as though Sito's words had knocked the wind out of her. Sito got a strange look on her face. Oh my, I should have expected this reaction to such a legendary spoiler. I bet you're even more frightened of me now. I bet you're wondering what the price for this story is. I should let you cool off a bit, shouldn't I? I wanted you to reconfirm your position on things. With the appearance of Sena, the history of the galaxy has started to move faster than ever. Do not misunderstand the circumstances. It's a big deal, and I will do as much as I can to help given my position, said Sito. That's fine. I, too, have a different stance on that issue now than I did in the past. There is something to be said for protecting each other, Kamachi said. Sito stared at the image of Hakubi Washu and Akira Neja, which was visible behind Kamachi. Anyway, why did Washu, the legendary philosopher, create the same type of ship as Ryuoki for that boy? What are you planning to do with that boy? Kamachi's tone was both compassionate towards Sena and condemnatory towards Sito. Because I don't want him to die. What? Neither I nor Washu are extra fond of Mr. Sena. But well, the best way I can put it is we have some rather scary opponents who would rather not see Sena in danger. There are people who scare you? That is almost as shocking as the legendary spoiler. Well then, see you later. Good night, Sito said, and then she disconnected. Kamachi, freed from that tension, got up with her heart beating in her chest and went straight to her bedroom. When she entered her bedroom, she took off her clothes and toppled down on her bed naked. She had been under so much tension that her eyes looked glazed over. The history of the galaxy has started to move greatly. Things sure have changed since that boy came. Originally, the space pirates existed in a dispersed manner. Unlike the people living in the various space nations, pirates rarely gathered in one place. The act of annihilating them was equivalent to picking needles out of a giant haystack. Efforts to eradicate them were impossible no matter how much strength and personnel were put to the task. That's why the GP only tried to protect their luggage from the attacking space pirates by hoping they would attack decoys. Annihilating them was a pipe dream. But that boy is different. Sena could attract those needles to him like a magnet. The range of his attraction was still small, so the damage done was minimal, but if he could expand the scope of his activities in the future, she could only imagine how much damage would occur. Indeed. So they don't want him to die. Increasing the range of his actions would attract a lot of space pirates, and if the guild were to try and get rid of him again, they didn't want it to be as bad as what happened with Tarrant and Ryoko the other day. No, to the contrary, that boy is being given a ship comparable to a royal ship. Kamachi shuddered when she noticed a troubling possibility. Is that so? Are they equipping him for an encounter with the big Daruma? It was highly possible, and there was a past encounter where that had occurred. The energy-mass ratio measured at the encounter of Ryuoki the other day was overshadowed by the one recorded from the other mysterious ship. That meant it was equivalent to a royal ship. Those royal ships have those troublesome light hawk wings, but Ryuoki doesn't have that. It will have a powerful shield, but will it be able to withstand the firepower of Big Daruma? It should be possible to take it out. Kamachi imagined Ryuoki fighting the Big Daruma and the battle between them. As a large ship, it would be difficult to concentrate firepower on the small Ryuoki. Regardless of the rest of the fleet, the planetary scale ship would be its main enemy, and the large weapons would be hard to direct at Ryuoki. Moreover, if it was equivalent in power to a royal ship, there was a high possibility of it having a teleporting ability. It would be nearly impossible to concentrate firepower on a small ship that was moving unpredictably. It would be over as soon as it started, but if they were to catch it off guard and detect it early and respond quickly, victory would be achievable depending on how things went. It would depend solely on their own luck. Do we need to rethink our position on this? The guild was sure to keep trying to assassinate Sena Yamada. Naturally, however, the other party would become wary of it, and there was a high possibility of them getting sucked into a trap. And then the act of trying to erase Sena would leave them with their defenses too far gone. The space pirates who once competed against the Galactic Federation by dispersing their existence would now have to launch attacks against the Academy, Jirai, and Senua. Moreover, their weakest target was known to their opponent. The Big Daruma, which was known for remaining hidden from the GP, was a symbol of the Daruma Guild and had become a kind of legend among them. If the Big Daruma was destroyed, the guild would lose all of its sway. If we're on a direct course with Sena, it might be better to use the escape path that the Demon Princess has prepared for us after all. Well, in any case, there is definitely still time for me to think about it. Kamachi decided on her next course of action and fell into a deep sleep from fatigue right where she fell on the bed.